Join me. Together we can rule the galaxy far from the sun.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Hello there, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses. This is Todd Hoffman and Trent Hoffman. You're listening to Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 94. Today we're going to be talking about the Star Wars Resistance Season 2, a chapter. See, I'm so used to Book of Boba Fett. It's episode 16, No Place Safe. Not a correct English word or sentence, but no place safe. And we are going to be talking about that in just a little bit. Unfortunately, again, Trent can't make it, but we are going to make sure that he's on the show very soon. Just a lot of things with scheduling and school and all those kind of things. We're just trying to make sure that he gets all that taken care of. But he is super jazzed about that Obi-Wan trailer. Oh my goodness. Still talking about that. Can't wait for that to happen. And we will be back in full force talking about that on May 25th. I think it's like 69 days. Same thing with the Book of Boba Fett. I'm just like, let's start a countdown. So if you're following us on the socials, count down and every day. So 69 days as of this recording. But there you go. Super jazzed about that. I can't believe that is in the pipe, in the works. It's happening. It's coming. Saw Turning Red over the weekend, and oof, what a great flick. So this was one that was, I think really kind of a COVID casualty. It was determined that this would be released strictly on Disney Plus. I think similar to Raya, where they just decided, you know what, we're not going to put this in the theaters, and we're just going to bring it to Disney Plus. And again, I think, unfortunately, animation is just one of those things where it might be something that we see more of a direct to the streaming service. But Turning Red does not disappoint. It is a well done movie. I mean, top to bottom, it's just fun. It's a great kind of coming of age story for the kid. Now I forget her name, but it is so good. I just really enjoyed it, and it's set in the early 2000s, which was kind of a surprise. And it's fantastic. The kids loved it. We loved it. It was fantastic. Really should check that out. We went to the Lego store and I got some Legos, so we'll be posting those soon. I haven't got Legos in a very long time, so it was time to go back and just got a couple. So it's hard. It's that store's dangerous. So but yeah, we got some Legos, so we'll be posting that on the socials very soon. We were able to enjoy the weather. The weather's getting a little bit warmer in Chicago. It's spring, so one day it's 70, next day it's 40, but this is how it is. We were able to get to the park. Took out Trent's RC truck, so be posting videos of that as well. Man, there's some Mace Windu rumors happening. So there's a recent interview that has been percolating around where Samuel L. Jackson is talking about he just finished up a movie with Bryce Dallas Howard. She can direct anything Star Wars. And so I think he was mentioning about that on this interview, like, hey, can you bring me back? So you never know. No one's really gone in Star Wars. It doesn't quite make sense to bring Mace back, but considering Mace is an interesting character because he's so dedicated to the Force and the Republic. He also, like Yoda, is kind of blind to what's happening. And, Qui-Gon tried to warn him about it, and it wasn't until the very end that he actually trusted Anakin. And then it all kind of backfired real quick, and he lost an arm and got flown out of a window. So Mace Windu, the one book that I would recommend if you really are a Mace Windu fan, you got to check out Shatterpoint. Yes, it's Legends, but it is fantastic. So you should check that out if you are interested in Mace Windu. Shatterpoint is a great movie. I almost said flick, but it's a movie. No, it's not a movie. It's not a flick. It is a book. That's right, a book in Legends. I believe Matthew Stover. I don't know. Anyways, check out Shatterpoint. Get it at your library. Get it on Audible. Whatever you get your fine books. It's Legends, but it's pretty cool. And one of the things that I really like about it, it really kind of goes into Mace Windu's force abilities and his what's unique about his lightsaber form. I think there's, don't quote me on this, there might be 9 forms, there might be 7 forms, I'm not 100% sure, but his is the closest to the dark side. It's very interesting how he uses the form and everything like that. So if you're really into some, you need some Mace fix, check out Shatterpoint for sure. But back to the rumors. I mean, I just don't know how he would fit in. It would almost have to be in Ahsoka or something like that, or somehow with Inquisitors coming out. I mean, it's definitely not going to be an Obi-Wan, but it might be something where they could bring him in, and I don't know. The one of the things that is a little hard sometimes with Star Wars is that, especially now that, like with Order 66 and everything is, most of the Jedi wipe out. All of a sudden these other Jedi kind of pop out. So you got Cal Kestis, and you got Kanan and Ezra, and like Ahsoka, and there's Luke, and Luke happened after the purge, but you know what I mean. It's like all these things that just the token Jedi just shows up. So it's not to say that Mace couldn't survive. And one of the things that is interesting that I would be a really cool thing to explore is him surviving in the Coruscant Underground, and how he has to basically kind of make his way up the levels, because if you know anything about the lore of Coruscant, it is levels upon levels upon levels, a city built on a city and built on a city. And so in the slums way down where the light doesn't shine, it could be interesting if he kind of had to build his way up, and it's only the elite of the elite that are on the top of the Coruscant. So that'd be cool. Other news this week, man, we lost Scott Hall. So Scott Hall is a wrestler, and we love wrestling here at Big T and Little T. And Scott Hall was part of the NWO movement. He was the NWO movement. In WWF, he was Razor Ramon. And it's funny too, he died, I think on Tuesday. It was March 14th. Yeah. So a couple days ago. It's interesting though, you don't realize that he actually had a run in WCW before he went to WWF as Razor Ramon. And Razor Ramon, he basically kind of took the, Scarface kind of character, and made it his own, and kind of this just over machoism as far as being the bad guy. And he was fantastic. He was great as Razor Ramon, and some of the best matches he had in WWF. But really what put him over the top was his return to WCW. So this is like, I want to say this is after 93, 94. Trying to think when he came back. 96, yeah. So 96 he came back to WCW, and they tagged him as the Outsiders. And what's cool about wrestling is when the gimmick works, right? So when a wrestler is so over that the gimmick actually works. And so he came in as what they called the Outsiders. So him and Kevin Nash were both in WWF, but the contracts ran out. And so it was this kind of weird thing where it almost sounded like they were working for the WWF, but like invading WCW. And it was this kind of weird thing. And they would just randomly show up through the crowds, and it became this thing. And so much so, like, many people have replicated that. It wasn't totally uncommon, but they would always show up like in the stands and come through the stands, and like not come through the ramp and stuff like that. But Scott Hall just brought it every time. And his character as just Scott Hall in WCW was fantastic. And so it was really the turning point was when it was Bash at the Beach, and they were at the Outsiders, and they're wrestling Sting, Lex Luger, and Randy Savage in a 6-man tag, and they had a mystery partner. So they pretty much met. They pretty much wrestled most of the match as just with Nash and Hall, but then Hulk Hogan showed up, and that's where Hogan turned, and that's when they formed the NWO. And if you follow wrestling at all, that was a magic period of just 80 plus weeks, 83 weeks of just WCW killing the ratings and really destroying WWE for a little bit. But they got a little too cocky, and that's a whole nother story, and that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, Scott Hall unfortunately passed away. I believe he was having hip surgery and did not recover from that. So it's such a shame. He was one of the best. And yeah, it's just, and I think I mentioned this on the socials too. Like last week, the episode was called New World, and I couldn't help but throw in a little New World Order theme song because it's right there. It's right there for the taking. Yeah, little did I know that, Scott Hall was going to pass. But yeah, it's just so sad. Kevin posted something like a day before that just wasn't recovering, and he's on life support and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like they've been together for a long time. So it's just kind of sad seeing that. But, thoughts go out to the family and everybody in the wrestling community mourning Scott Hall there. So, wrestling's a weird business, and unfortunately it seems like that if you're a wrestler, you tend to have not a long lifespan, and it's just sad. I don't know what that is. I mean, part of it is probably, a lot of the wear and tear of the schedule and your body and all those kind of things. But yeah, there you have it. So yeah, Scott Hall there. All right, so let's get into our main topic here. So we are going to be talking about No Place Safe chapter episode 16. See, I'm going to just say chapter because it's easier. We're only a couple left. So this is picks right off from New World. And so Kaz is still feeling the call, which I find this interesting. He's kind of matured in his ways here, and he's seeing that there's something bigger than just the Colossus and that he needs to help out. So he feels a call and kind of tells Jaeger, like, hey, man, I think it's time. At the same time, what we get the probe droids. Now we get these upgraded probe droids, these first order probe droids that they send out because Pry knows that the Colossus is close, and he needs to find him. So similar to what we see in Empire, this is what they do. He disperses thousands of probe droids to figure out if he can find the Colossus and the Resistance and all that fun stuff, because they couldn't find them the last time. So Cassius, Kabai, Kazuda, Niku has, is crying. He's so sad to see Kaz leave. And then we get the trophy. So the trophy has been seen for quite some time, but Kaz gives Niku his trophy as one of his prized possessions. And yeah, it's kind of bittersweet. So Jaeger basically says, hey, you can have the fireball. Take it. So him and CB are like, adios, Jaeger. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the work you've done. And so they take off. And as they take off, CB recognizes that there's a probe droid, and the probe droid sees the fireball. And so then it sends like these homing missiles after Kaz, and Kaz kind of does a technique that we've seen Poe do in The Last Jedi, and it does kind of this like switch with the throttle and does this sharp cut, and maybe he learned that from Poe. It's not really explained, but it's the same thing that we saw in Last Jedi. And then he goes right towards the probe droid, and at the very last second, the heat-sinking missiles get the probe droid. But of course, the probe sent the information already to the Resistance. During that little maneuver, the fireball gets injured and kind of takes a little beating. CB kind of repairs it and patches it up, and he decides that he's not going to meet with the Resistance, but he needs to go back to the Colossus. So he kind of limps into the Colossus, and Yeager's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "I got to get to Doza because the Resistance, the First Order are going to be here." So that's where they basically are like, "Hey, things are gonna heat up quickly." And so then there's this kind of huge dogfight over Eos Prime. And so there's a lot. First Order deploys its TIE fighters and all that fun stuff. And then there's this little bit with, how can I put it? It's they're just fighting, and then our good friend from the classes before is what is her name? Gosh, why do I always blank on these names? Tam. So Tam is still, it's so interesting. She's always like conflicted, like she wants to be the First Order, but then she doesn't like the Resistance, and then she likes the Resistance, she likes the people. So Kaz basically tells Yeager that I think he encountered Tam because basically Tam does this maneuver she had Kaz in her sight, but basically it's just like Kaz fires a missile towards the bridge, and kind of Tam almost was going to kill Kaz, but then decided not to, but then interfered to make sure that the First Order did not get blown up from Kaz's missile. And then she gets immediately like kind of promoted, which is kind of interesting because she's debating, again, like she's torn, and she got promoted to second squad commander. So whatever that is, that's great. But basically, Yeager tells Kaz that, like, no matter what you think, she turned our back on us, and we have to kind of turn our back on her, which is interesting, where Kaz kind of has like a Jedi mentality where it's like, you know what, you never give up on somebody. And I found that very interesting and very enduring about Kaz, because it's like that this thread has been continuing since she defected, and it might be something that we finally see that she comes back in the next 2 episodes. So, overall, not too bad of an episode. I think it's important to understand that, like, the Eos Prime people helped out the rebels before, and then helps out the Resistance, and it's kind of cool seeing, again, biological versus technology. It's a very big theme in Star Wars. We see this, with like the Ewoks and the Imperials and Return of the Jedi and all that kind of stuff. So it's a theme that is pretty rampant in Star Wars. So overall, not too bad. I'm excited to see where this ends, and I honestly, I don't know where it's going to end. So that's also makes me kind of excited to see how this closes up. So there you have it. No place safe. Continuing the tradition that we just started last week. It's like, what were we doing in 1994? So we're in episode 94. Thought it'd be kind of cool. Like I said, last week, 93, I just graduated high school. So 94, coming in hot here. And so let's see what is going on. Again, this is during the dark times. This is the period between 83 and 99 where not much is going on. So all this stuff is kind of ancillary. So Dark Horse has the comics, and they're coming out with like Tales of the Jedi and stuff like that. And really what it is for 94 is kind of the same thing. There's a couple books that are published. So in April, The Courtship of Princess Leia is published, which is kind of cool. I don't think I've ever read that book. That's probably one of the only books I haven't read in the EU, which is kind of interesting. Trying to think what else came out here. The Dark Apprentice came out in July. So Dark Apprentice is I think it's the third book. Let me double check here. It is the third book. Again, we're talking it's the second book. Okay, second book, Dark Apprentice, Kevin J. Anderson, the volume 2 of the Jedi Academy trilogy. So again, this is kind of a cool spin on what Luke is trying to do and start the Academy. There is Exar Khan, I think, is the baddie in here, where he's stuck in the Yavin 4 temples and stuff like that. So very cool book. So that comes out in July. And then TIE Fighter. Yes, TIE Fighter was the sequel to X-Wing Flight Simulator, and you get to play the bad guy, and you're a bad guy, man. Not just like this item Versio thing where you're the bad guy and then become a good guy. No, you're the bad guy in TIE Fighter. And there was like this cool, like, if I remember back, jogging in memory, there was this kind of like shadow informant in there, and he had this wicked cool tattoo where it was like Imperial Cog with this like these kind of like almost like a ninja star type emblem on his forearm, and he was part of this order. I have to look this up because I just adore that. And in fact, that was one of the tattoos I was thinking about getting, but I never went through on it. I mean, I have an Imperial Cog, but that was one that I really was looking into doing, and it's yeah, I have to find a little bit more. I forget what that little secret order, but that came out in July. Couple other things. Peter Cushing dies in August, which is so sad. Again, that's Moff Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin, and then Champions of the Force. This is a third book in the series. That the trilogy, the Jedi Academy trilogy, that comes out in September. Trying to think what else is happening here. Looking through all these stuff in 94. Truce of Bakura comes out in November. That's a very interesting book. Again, this is where like the Empire and the Rebels come to agreement over Bakura to help with a third threat. So that's kind of interesting. Super Star Wars Return of the Jedi on the Super Nintendo comes out in November. And all three of those games are just brutally tough. So you had that. Crystal Star comes out in December, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And then Sebastian Shaw dies in December as well in 94. So that was the original Anakin in Return of the Jedi. But yeah, so there you have it, 1994. Again, it's books and video games and comics and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a couple other things that probably happened in 1994, but those are kind of highlights. So that's pretty cool. Again, TIE Fighter I played a lot of TIE Fighter back in the day in my probably 46 computer. But yeah, there you have it, 1994. Okay, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses. This has been another episode of Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. You can find us on the socials, Big T, Little T Podcast on Instagram, BLILT Podcast on Twitter, and then twitch.tv/Big T, Little T. Just got the computer back, so I'm hoping maybe this weekend we can do a little bit more streaming and get that set up again. But yeah, the computer's back, and I'm still trying to get it slowly back to where I was and all that kind of fun stuff. Hey, we got some stickers. We want to hear from you. So if you rate us on Apple Podcast or rate us on Spotify, show us a rating. Give us a 5-star rating, show that, like screenshot it, tweet us, whatever, or you can email us at bigtlittlepodcast@gmail.com. We'll read that rating, a review on the next coming episode. Or if you got us a Star Wars question, drop us a Star Wars question. Hey, are you excited about Mace Windu possibly coming back? That gets you excited. Are you excited for Obi-Wan? Just drop us a line. We'll read that. We'll love to read a question on the air, or your little manifesto on the old data pad there. And yeah, just drop that at bigtlittlepodcast@gmail.com. Hey, we have, if you can't remember all of that, just remember this: bio.link/Big T Little T, and that got all the hot links, all the sausage links right there in your meaty little hands, and you can just hit us up there. Has all the different stuff. So there you have it. Next week we're going to continue our season 2 as we slowly wrap up and get ready for Obi-Wan. I can't wait for that. Once again, guys, truly wonderful the mind of the child is, and may the Force be with you always. Bye, 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 bye. See you later. Bye.